What if you could unlock the secrets to a stronger, calmer, and more resilient mindset using wisdom that has stood the test of time? Stoicism, an ancient philosophy practiced by some of history's greatest thinkers, isn't just about pondering life's big questions. It's a practical guide for navigating the challenges of modern life. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's exactly what we're diving into today. In this video, we'll explore 50 Stoic habits that have the power to transform your mindset, helping you build resilience, focus, and inner peace. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're actionable practices you can start using right now to take control of your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Whether you're facing stress, uncertainty, or self-doubt, Stoicism offers tools to help you rise above it. So, if you're ready to discover how ancient wisdom can make a real difference in your life today, let's begin this journey together. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with practical habits that can help you cultivate a mindset of strength, clarity, and purpose. Let's get started. Every morning is an opportunity to set your intentions, and the Stoics understood this better than anyone. They believed that how you begin your day shapes the rest of it, which is why morning reflection was such a cornerstone of their philosophy. Seneca once wrote, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." This idea of treating each day as its own life is powerful. It reminds us that every sunrise brings a fresh chance to align our actions with our values and focus on what truly matters. So, what does a Stoic morning reflection look like? It's about preparing your mind for the challenges and opportunities ahead. Before diving into the distractions of the day, take a few moments to center yourself. This could mean journaling, meditating, or simply sitting in silence and reflecting on what you can control. The key is to start with intention, not reaction. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? How can I respond to challenges with wisdom and calm? By setting this tone early, you create a mental framework that helps you navigate whatever comes your way. For example, you might write down 3 things you're grateful for, followed by 3 things you want to focus on that day. This simple practice not only grounds you in gratitude, but also gives you clarity about your priorities. Or you could meditate on a Stoic principle, like the Dichotomy of Control, reminding yourself that some things are within your power while others are not. This isn't about over-planning your day, it's about cultivating the right mindset to face it. Imagine what your ideal morning routine would look like if it aligned with Stoic principles. Would it be quiet and reflective, or structured and purposeful? The beauty of this habit is that it's entirely yours to shape. The goal isn't perfection, it's presence. By starting your day with intention, you're not just preparing for the hours ahead. You're building a foundation for a life lived with purpose and clarity. How often do you take a moment to pause and reflect on your day before you drift off to sleep? For the Stoics, this wasn't just a casual habit, it was a deliberate practice known as the evening review. This ritual of self-examination was a cornerstone of their philosophy, designed to cultivate self-awareness and foster growth. As Epictetus once said, "What progress have I made? I am beginning to be my own friend." This simple yet profound question captures the essence of the evening review. A moment to turn inward, assess your actions, and learn from the day's experiences. The evening review isn't about self-criticism or dwelling on mistakes. Instead, it's an opportunity to observe your day with clarity and honesty. Start by asking yourself 2 key questions: what went well today and what could have been better? For example, maybe you handled a difficult conversation with patience, but perhaps you lost focus during an important task. By identifying both your successes and areas for improvement, you create a balanced perspective that helps you grow without falling into negativity. One way to structure your evening review is to break it into 3 simple steps. First, recall the events of your day, focusing on moments that stand out, whether they were positive or challenging. Second, reflect on your reactions and decisions. Did you respond with virtue, like courage or wisdom, or did you let emotions take the lead? Finally, consider what lessons you can carry forward. What can you do differently tomorrow to align more closely with your values and goals? This practice isn't just about self-improvement, it's also about building a deeper understanding of yourself. Over time, the evening review helps you recognize patterns in your behavior, celebrate your progress, and refine your approach to life's challenges. So tonight, as you prepare to sleep, ask yourself, what lessons can I take from today to make tomorrow even better? By making this a daily habit, you'll not only transform your mindset, but also create a life of greater intention and purpose. Stoicism teaches us to focus only on what we can control. This principle, often referred to as the Dichotomy of Control, is one of the most transformative ideas in Stoic philosophy. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic teachers, put it simply, some things are within our power while others are not. In other words, our power lies in our thoughts, decisions, and actions, not in external events or other people's behavior. Think about it. When you're stuck in traffic, you can't control the cars around you or the red lights. But you can control how you react. Do you let frustration take over, or do you take a deep breath and use the time to listen to a podcast or reflect on your day? The same applies to work stress. You can't control your boss's expectations or your colleague's attitude, but you can control how you prepare, how you communicate, and how you manage your own emotions. The beauty of this habit is that it shifts your focus from what's happening to you to what you're doing about it. It's not about ignoring challenges, it's about redirecting your energy toward what truly matters. So take a moment to reflect. What areas of your life are you trying to control that are beyond your influence? Are you stressing over things you can't change, or are you channeling your energy into the things you can? This simple shift in perspective can free up so much mental space and help you approach life with greater clarity and calm. By practicing this habit, you're not just adopting a mindset, you're reclaiming your power. When you focus on what's within your control, you stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable and start building a life rooted in purpose and resilience. And that, my friends, is where true transformation begins. In a world that often feels like an endless race for more success, more possessions, more validation, gratitude has the power to ground us. It's a simple yet profound practice that shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already have. And for the Stoics, gratitude wasn't just a feel-good exercise, it was a cornerstone of living a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the importance of appreciating the present moment and the gifts it brings. In his meditations, he reminded himself to reflect on the beauty of life, even in its smallest details. He saw gratitude as a way to cultivate inner peace and resilience, no matter the external circumstances. So, how can we bring this Stoic practice of gratitude into our own lives? One powerful way is to start a gratitude journal. Each day, take a few moments to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. Maybe it's the warmth of your morning coffee, a kind word from a friend, or even the fact that you made it through a challenging day. Over time, this habit trains your mind to notice and appreciate the good that's already around you, even when life feels overwhelming. Gratitude also helps us break free from the trap of constant comparison. In a world where social media often amplifies what others have or seem to have, it's easy to feel like we're falling behind. But when we practice gratitude, we remind ourselves that our worth isn't tied to external achievements or possessions. It's rooted in the simple, undeniable fact that we're here, alive, and capable of finding joy in the present moment. So here's a question to reflect on. What are 3 things you're grateful for today? It could be something as small as a moment of quiet or as significant as a milestone you've reached. Whatever it is, take a moment to truly feel that gratitude. Because when we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, we begin to see life through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity, and that shift in perspective, it's transformative. Every obstacle is a chance to grow. This isn't just a motivational platitude, it's a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that challenges aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest thinkers, put it this way: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the very thing that seems to hold you back can be the very thing that propels you forward. But how do you shift your perspective to see obstacles as opportunities? It starts with reframing. Take criticism, for example. It's easy to feel defensive or discouraged when someone points out your flaws. But what if, instead of taking it personally, you viewed it as valuable feedback? Suddenly, that critique becomes a tool for improvement, a chance to refine your skills or adjust your approach. The obstacle criticism transforms into an opportunity for growth. The same principle applies to other challenges. A failed project isn't just a failure, it's a lesson in what doesn't work. A difficult conversation isn't just uncomfortable, it's a chance to build stronger relationships. Even something as simple as a delayed train can become an opportunity. Maybe it's a moment to pause, reflect, or read that book you've been meaning to start. The key is to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to my advantage? So, here's a question to ponder. What recent obstacle in your life can you reframe as an opportunity? It might feel daunting at first, but the Stoics remind us that adversity is where character is forged. By embracing challenges, you're not just enduring them, you're using them to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And that's a mindset worth cultivating. How do you respond when life knocks you down? Do you crumble under the weight of the moment, or do you find a way to rise stronger and more determined? This is where Stoic resilience comes into play, a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy that teaches us to endure hardships not just with grit but with wisdom. Seneca, one of Stoicism's great thinkers, once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." It's a powerful reminder that suffering, when faced with the right mindset, can be a teacher rather than an enemy. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about embracing challenges as opportunities to grow. Think of it like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. One practical way to build resilience is by intentionally practicing discomfort. This could mean stepping outside your comfort zone in small, manageable ways, like taking cold showers, waking up earlier, or volunteering for tasks you'd normally avoid. These moments of voluntary discomfort train your mind to handle life's inevitable struggles with calm and clarity. Another key to resilience is maintaining perspective. When faced with a setback, ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Often, we magnify problems in the heat of the moment, but zooming out helps us see them in their true proportion. This shift in perspective can turn overwhelming obstacles into manageable challenges. So, here's a question for you. What's one way you can strengthen your resilience today? Maybe it's tackling a task you've been avoiding or reframing a problem that's been weighing on you. Whatever it is, remember that every small step builds your capacity to endure and thrive, no matter what life throws your way. Stoicism teaches us to live in the present moment, a principle that might sound simple, but its impact on our mindset is profound. At its core, this habit is about embracing mindfulness, a practice that aligns perfectly with the Stoic philosophy of focusing on what's within our control. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, often emphasized the importance of anchoring ourselves in the here and now. He believed that much of our suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, neither of which we can change. By bringing our attention to the present, we reclaim our power and find peace in the moment. So, how can you start practicing mindfulness in a Stoic way? Begin with something as simple as mindful breathing. Take a few moments each day to sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus solely on your breath. Notice the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. When your mind inevitably wanders, and it will gently guide it back without judgment. This exercise isn't about clearing your mind completely. It's about observing your thoughts and letting them pass like clouds in the sky. This is Stoic mindfulness in action, acknowledging what's happening without letting it control you. Another powerful exercise is to pause throughout your day and ask yourself, what am I experiencing right now? Whether it's the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of birds chirping, or even the tension in your shoulders, this simple act of observation grounds you in the present. It's a reminder that life unfolds moment by moment, and by fully engaging with it, you can reduce stress and cultivate gratitude. Now take a moment to reflect. How often do you truly live in the present? How much time do you spend replaying past mistakes or anxiously anticipating what's to come? By integrating these Stoic mindfulness practices into your daily routine, you'll find yourself more centered, more at peace, and better equipped to handle whatever challenges come your way. It's not about perfection, it's about progress, one mindful moment at a time. Let's talk about something we all do but rarely admit: complaining. It's easy to fall into the habit of venting about what's wrong, but here's the thing: complaining rarely solves anything. It might feel good in the moment, but it doesn't change the situation. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." In other words, stop talking about what's wrong and start doing something about it. The Stoic approach to complaining isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about shifting your focus from what you can't control to what you can control. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You could spend the entire time grumbling about how late you'll be, or you could use that time to listen to an audiobook, plan your day, or simply take a moment to breathe. The traffic isn't going anywhere, but your mindset can. Here's a practical way to apply this. Next time you catch yourself complaining, pause and ask, what action can I take instead? Maybe you're frustrated with a cluttered workspace. Instead of lamenting about it, take 5 minutes to organize one small area. Or perhaps you're annoyed with a coworker. Instead of venting, consider having a calm, constructive conversation. The goal isn't to eliminate all complaints, but to turn them into opportunities for action. So, let's challenge ourselves. What's one thing you complain about regularly that you could address instead? It doesn't have to be a huge problem. Small shifts in how you respond can lead to big changes over time. By limiting complaining and focusing on solutions, you're not just improving your own mindset, you're setting an example for those around you. And that's a habit worth building. What if discomfort could make you stronger? It might sound counterintuitive, but this is exactly what the Stoics believed. Habit 9 in our journey to transform your mindset is all about practicing voluntary discomfort. This isn't about punishing yourself or seeking unnecessary hardship. It's about intentionally stepping into small challenges to build resilience and mental toughness. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the power of self-discipline. He believed that by voluntarily embracing discomfort, we could train ourselves to handle life's inevitable hardships with grace and courage. Think of it like lifting weights for your mind. Just as muscles grow stronger under resistance, your mental resilience strengthens when you push past comfort zones. A simple example, fasting for a meal or a day. It's not about deprivation, it's about reminding yourself that you can endure temporary hunger and still thrive. Or consider taking a cold shower instead of a warm one. That initial shock, it's a moment to practice staying calm and focused, even when your body wants to resist. These small acts of discomfort teach you that you are capable of far more than you might believe. The beauty of this habit is that it doesn't require grand gestures. It's about finding small, manageable ways to challenge yourself regularly. Maybe it's walking an extra mile when you're tired, turning off your phone for an hour to sit with your thoughts, or even wearing slightly less comfortable clothing for a day. The goal is to prove to yourself that discomfort doesn't have to control you. It can be a tool for growth. So, take a moment to reflect. What's one small discomfort you can embrace today to build your mental strength? It doesn't have to be dramatic or life-changing. Start small, stay consistent, and watch how these voluntary challenges begin to reshape your mindset. Reflecting on our own mortality might seem like a heavy or uncomfortable topic, but for the Stoics, it was a cornerstone of living a meaningful life. The practice of Memento Mori, Latin for remember you must die, wasn't about dwelling on the end, but rather using the awareness of life's impermanence to help us focus on what truly matters. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." It's a reminder that life is fleeting, and that awareness can be a powerful motivator to live with purpose and presence. So, how can we bring this practice into our daily lives? It doesn't have to be dramatic or overwhelming. Start small. Maybe during your morning coffee or while brushing your teeth, take a moment to reflect on the impermanence of the day ahead. Ask yourself, if today were my last, how would I spend it? Would you waste time on trivial things, or would you choose to act with kindness, focus on what you value, and connect deeply with the people around you? This simple exercise can shift your perspective, helping you prioritize what's truly important. The beauty of Memento Mori is that it doesn't require grand gestures. It's about finding meaning in the ordinary, recognizing that every moment is a gift. By embracing the reality of our finite time, we can let go of petty distractions, live with greater intention, and appreciate the richness of life as it unfolds. So, the next time you feel stuck or overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, what would I do differently if I truly understood how precious today is? That question alone can be a gateway to living more fully. Self-denial is a path to freedom. At first glance, that might sound counterintuitive. How could saying no to ourselves lead to liberation? But the Stoics, particularly Epictetus, saw self-denial as a way to break free from the chains of our own desires and attachments. When we constantly chase after what we want, we become enslaved to those cravings. But when we practice self-denial, we take back control. Think of it this way. Every time you resist the urge to indulge in something unnecessary, you're strengthening your inner discipline. It's like flexing a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you become. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes from mastering our impulses, not from satisfying them. By denying ourselves certain pleasures, we learn to live with less, and in doing so, we discover that we actually need far less than we think to be content. For example, consider something as simple as limiting your screen time. How often do we find ourselves mindlessly scrolling, losing hours to something that doesn't truly add value to our lives? Or think about avoiding excess, whether it's food, shopping, or even social media. These small acts of self-denial might feel uncomfortable at first, but they're powerful exercises in self-control. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one indulgence you can deny yourself to build discipline? It doesn't have to be something drastic. Start small. Maybe it's skipping that extra cup of coffee, resisting the urge to check your phone first thing in the morning, or saying no to an impulse purchase. Each time you say no to something you want but don't truly need, you're taking a step toward greater self-mastery and ultimately greater freedom. Self-denial isn't about punishing yourself, it's about empowering yourself. It's a reminder that you're in charge of your choices, not the other way around. And when you realize that, you'll start to see just how much control you really have over your life. What does it mean to live a virtuous life? At its core, it's about aligning your actions with what's right, even when it's difficult. The Stoics believed that virtue is the highest good, something that can't be taken away, no matter the circumstances. Seneca once wrote, "Virtue is nothing else than right reason." In other words, living virtuously means acting with moral integrity, guided by wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. It's not about perfection, but about striving to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. Think about the small, everyday choices you make. Choosing honesty in a conversation, showing kindness to someone who's struggling, or standing up for what's fair. These are all acts of virtue. They might seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they shape who you are. The Stoics remind us that virtue isn't just about grand gestures, it's woven into the fabric of daily life. So, how can you align your actions with virtue today? Start by asking yourself, what's the right thing to do in this situation? Not the easiest thing or the most convenient, but the right thing. Maybe it's admitting a mistake, offering help without expecting anything in return, or simply listening when someone needs to be heard. These choices might not always feel comfortable, but they're the ones that build character and bring us closer to living a life of meaning and purpose. Attachment often leads to suffering, a truth many of us have felt in our own lives. Whether it's clinging to material possessions, relationships, or even outcomes we can't control, the tighter we hold on, the more we risk feeling pain when things don't go our way. This is where the Stoic practice of detachment comes in. It's not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about freeing yourself from the grip of external circumstances. As Epictetus once said, some things are in our control and others are not. Detachment is the art of focusing on what's within your power and letting go of what isn't. Think about it this way: when you're overly attached to something, whether it's a promotion at work, the approval of others, or even a favorite possession, you're essentially giving that thing control over your peace of mind. But what happens when things don't go as planned? Disappointment, frustration, or even despair can follow. Detachment, in the Stoic sense, is about loosening that grip. It's about recognizing that while you can care deeply about something, you don't need to let it dictate your emotional state. For example, imagine you've worked hard on a project and you're waiting for feedback. You could spend hours stressing over whether others will approve of your work, or you could focus on what's within your control, the effort you put in and the lessons you've learned along the way. By detaching from the outcome, you free yourself from unnecessary anxiety. Here's a challenge for you. Take a moment to reflect. What are you overly attached to right now? Is it a specific goal, a relationship, or even a belief about how things should be? How might your life feel lighter if you practiced letting go just a little? Remember, detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting external forces control your inner peace, and that's where true freedom begins. Inner peace is a choice, not a circumstance, a truth the Stoics understood deeply. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most renowned Stoic thinkers, often reminded himself in his writings that tranquility comes from within, not from the world around us. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." It's a powerful reminder that no matter how chaotic life gets, we can always choose how we respond. The Stoics believed that inner peace isn't something we stumble upon, it's something we cultivate. It's about training your mind to remain steady, even when everything else feels out of control. Think of it like tending to a garden. You don't just plant seeds and hope for the best, you water them, pull out the weeds, and protect them from pests. Similarly, inner peace requires daily effort. One way to start is through meditation. Even just a few minutes a day can help you slow down, observe your thoughts, and detach from the noise of the outside world. Journaling is another powerful tool. Writing down your thoughts, especially during moments of stress, can help you process emotions and gain clarity. Marcus Aurelius himself kept a journal which later became his famous Meditations. It wasn't just a record of his days, it was a practice of self-reflection and mental discipline. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you can do today to nurture your inner peace? Maybe it's taking a walk in nature, sitting quietly with your thoughts, or simply pausing to breathe deeply before reacting to a stressful situation. Small, intentional actions like these can have a profound impact over time. The beauty of this habit is that it's entirely within your control. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the right conditions. Inner peace begins the moment you decide to prioritize it, and as the Stoics remind us, that decision is always yours to make. How often do you let your ego guide your actions? It's a question worth asking, especially in moments when pride starts to creep in. For the Stoics, humility wasn't just a virtue, it was a powerful tool for maintaining clarity and peace of mind. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once warned, "Pride is the greatest obstacle to wisdom," and he was right. When we let our egos take the wheel, we lose sight of what truly matters: our growth, our relationships, and our ability to learn from the world around us. So, what does practicing humility look like in real life? It's not about diminishing your worth or shrinking yourself. It's about recognizing that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. It's admitting when you've made a mistake, even when it's uncomfortable. It's listening to others with an open mind, even when their perspective challenges your own. Humility is the quiet strength that allows you to see the bigger picture, to grow, and to connect more deeply with those around you. Think about it. When was the last time you truly listened to someone without letting your ego interrupt? Or when did you last acknowledge a mistake without deflecting blame? These small acts of humility might seem insignificant, but they have a ripple effect. They build trust, foster understanding, and create opportunities for growth, both for you and for those around you. Now, take a moment to reflect. Where can you practice humility in your daily life? Maybe it's in a conversation with a friend, a disagreement at work, or even in how you handle criticism. The truth is, humility isn't a one-time act, it's a habit, a mindset that you cultivate over time. And when you embrace it, you'll find that it opens doors to a more grounded, peaceful, and fulfilling way of living. Simplicity is the key to clarity. It's a principle the Stoics held in high regard, and one that Epictetus, in particular, emphasized as a way to strip away the noise and focus on what truly matters. He taught that by reducing distractions, we create space for clarity, purpose, and peace of mind. Think about it: when your life is cluttered with unnecessary tasks, possessions, or worries, it becomes harder to see what's essential. Simplicity isn't about deprivation, it's about liberation. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of excess so you can focus on what truly adds value to your life. Take decluttering, for example. Whether it's your physical space, your schedule, or even your digital life, removing what no longer serves you can be incredibly empowering. It's not just about creating a cleaner environment, it's about creating mental clarity. When you let go of the unnecessary, you make room for what matters most. Another way to embrace simplicity is by focusing on the essentials in your daily decisions. Instead of chasing endless options or overcomplicating your goals, ask yourself, what's the most straightforward, effective step I can take right now? So here's a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life you can simplify today? Maybe it's your morning routine, your to-do list, or even the way you approach your relationships. Start small. Identify one thing that's weighing you down and take a step towards simplifying it. By doing so, you're not just applying a Stoic principle, you're creating a foundation for a clearer, more intentional way of living. Patience is one of those virtues we all admire but rarely cultivate. How often do we find ourselves frustrated when things don't go as planned? Whether it's traffic, a delayed flight, or waiting for someone to respond to a text, impatience can quickly take over. The Stoics, however, saw patience as a cornerstone of inner strength. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it." This timeless insight reminds us that losing patience often creates more problems than the situation itself. Think about it. When was the last time your impatience actually improved a situation? Most of the time, it only adds stress or tension. The Stoic approach to patience isn't about passively waiting. It's about actively choosing to remain calm and composed, even when things feel out of your control. For example, imagine standing in a long line at the grocery store. Instead of fuming, you could use that time to observe your surroundings, reflect on your day, or simply breathe. It's a small shift, but it transforms wasted energy into an opportunity for mindfulness. The same applies to bigger challenges. When faced with setbacks like a missed promotion or a project not going as planned, practicing patience allows you to step back and assess the situation objectively. It gives you the clarity to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. So, where in your life could you use more patience? Is it in your relationships, your career, or even with yourself? Take a moment to reflect on how embracing this Stoic habit could help you approach those areas with a calmer, more resilient mindset. Everything changes, and that's okay. This simple truth is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it's a habit worth cultivating, reflecting on impermanence. The Stoics believed that accepting the transient nature of life is key to finding peace and resilience. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, often wrote about the inevitability of change, urging us to embrace it rather than resist it. He reminded us that clinging to what's fleeting only leads to suffering, while letting go allows us to flow with life's rhythms. Think about it, nothing stays the same. Seasons shift, relationships evolve, and even our own thoughts and feelings are in constant motion. The Stoics saw this impermanence not as a source of fear, but as an opportunity to practice acceptance and gratitude. When we acknowledge that everything is temporary, we can appreciate the present moment more deeply. It's like watching a sunset. Its beauty lies in its fleeting nature. If the sun never set, would we truly value its glow? One practical way to internalize this idea is by observing nature's cycles. Take a walk outside and notice how leaves fall, flowers bloom, and rivers flow. These natural processes are reminders that change is not only inevitable but necessary. It's how life renews itself. By aligning ourselves with this truth, we can begin to see impermanence as a teacher rather than a threat. So, how does embracing impermanence help us live more fully? For starters, it frees us from the weight of trying to control the uncontrollable. When we accept that change is part of the human experience, we can approach challenges with a sense of calm and adaptability. It also helps us cherish what we have while we have it, knowing that nothing lasts forever. This mindset doesn't diminish the value of our experiences, it amplifies them. Reflecting on impermanence isn't about dismissing the importance of life, but about finding a deeper appreciation for its ever-changing nature. It's a habit that invites us to live with more awareness, gratitude, and courage. And as Seneca reminds us, the more we practice this acceptance, the more we align ourselves with the natural order of things, and the more peace we find along the way. How often do you find yourself holding onto grudges, replaying past hurts in your mind like a broken record? It's a natural human tendency, but Stoicism offers a powerful alternative, the practice of forgiveness. As Epictetus once said, any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Think about that for a moment. When you hold onto anger or resentment, you're giving someone else power over your peace of mind. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, isn't about excusing someone's behavior or forgetting what happened. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of the past. Take, for example, a minor slight. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic or made an offhand comment that rubbed you the wrong way. Holding onto that frustration doesn't punish the other person, it only drains your energy. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our control, our own thoughts and reactions. By choosing to forgive, you reclaim your power and redirect your energy toward what truly matters. Reflect on this. Who can you forgive today to lighten your emotional load? It could be a friend who misunderstood you, a co-worker who made a mistake, or even yourself for a past decision you regret. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to reconcile with someone who hurt you deeply. It simply means releasing the grip of anger so you can move forward with clarity and calm. Stoic forgiveness is a habit of strength, not weakness. It's about choosing inner peace over external chaos. So, the next time you feel the pull of resentment, ask yourself, is holding onto this grudge serving me? Or is it time to let go and reclaim my freedom? Courage is not about being fearless, it's about acting in the face of fear. This is one of the most powerful Stoic principles, and it's something Marcus Aurelius reflected on deeply. He wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." For the Stoics, courage wasn't just about grand, heroic acts. It was about showing up every day, even when life felt overwhelming. It was about choosing to move forward, no matter how daunting the obstacles seemed. Think about it. Courage shows up in the small, everyday moments just as much as the big ones. It's the decision to speak up when your voice shakes, to take a risk when the outcome is uncertain, or to stand firm in your values even when it's easier to compromise. These are the moments that define us. The Stoics believed that every challenge is an opportunity to practice courage, to grow stronger, and to refine our character. Take Marcus Aurelius as an example. As a Roman emperor, he faced immense pressure and constant threats, yet he approached every situation with a calm, courageous mindset. He didn't let fear paralyze him. Instead, he used it as fuel to act wisely and decisively. That's the essence of Stoic courage. It's not about eliminating fear, but about refusing to let fear control you. So, what's one fear you can confront today? Maybe it's having a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, or stepping outside your comfort zone to try something new. It could even be as simple as acknowledging a fear and deciding to face it head-on. Remember, courage is a habit, not a one-time event. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. And every time you act with courage, no matter how small the act, you're building a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. That's the Stoic way. Generosity isn't just about giving, it's about creating a ripple effect of connection and fulfillment. As Seneca once said, "The wise man does not give in order to receive, he gives in order to give." This is at the heart of Stoic generosity. It's not about expecting something in return or seeking recognition. It's about finding joy in the act itself, knowing that the simple act of giving can strengthen your character and bring light to someone else's day. Think about it. When you give your time, energy, or resources without hesitation, you're not just helping others, you're cultivating a mindset of abundance. You're reminding yourself that you have more than enough to share, and in doing so, you're training your mind to focus on what you can offer rather than what you lack. This shift in perspective is transformative. Let's make it practical. Generosity doesn't have to be grand or expensive. It could be as simple as holding the door for someone, offering a kind word to a stranger, or volunteering an hour of your time to a cause you care about. Maybe it's donating a book you've finished to a local library or helping a friend with a task they've been struggling with. These small acts, when done consistently, build a habit of giving that becomes second nature. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one way you can practice generosity today? It doesn't have to be elaborate, just intentional. Start small and notice how it feels to give without expecting anything in return. Over time, you'll find that generosity isn't just a habit. It's a way of living that enriches your life and the lives of those around you. There's something profoundly grounding about stepping outside and immersing yourself in the natural world. Nature, in its quiet wisdom, teaches us about harmony and balance, lessons that resonate deeply with Stoic philosophy. Think about it: the cycles of the seasons, the ebb and flow of tides, the way a tree bends but doesn't break in the wind. These are not just random events, they're reflections of a greater order, a reminder that everything is interconnected. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, often wrote about this idea. He saw nature as a teacher, showing us how to live in alignment with the universe. In his meditations, he urged us to observe the natural world closely, not just as a passive spectator, but as someone seeking to understand their place within it. So how can we bring this Stoic practice into our own lives? Start small. Take a walk in a park, sit by a river, or even just watch the clouds drift by. Pay attention to the rhythms of nature, the way leaves fall in autumn, the way flowers bloom in spring. These moments aren't just peaceful, they're opportunities to reflect on the bigger picture. When you're out there, ask yourself, what can nature teach me about resilience, about change, about acceptance? These questions can help you see your own challenges in a new light, reminding you that, just like the natural world, you're part of something much larger. And here's a simple exercise to try. The next time you feel overwhelmed, step outside and take a few deep breaths. Let the stillness of nature remind you that, no matter how chaotic life feels, there's always an underlying order. Notice the way everything in nature has its time and place. Nothing is rushed, nothing is forced. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a call to action. What can you learn from nature today? Maybe it's patience, maybe it's adaptability, or maybe it's simply the importance of slowing down. The answers are all around you, waiting to be discovered. How often do you truly listen instead of speaking? Silence might seem passive, but in Stoicism, it's a deliberate act of strength and self-control. Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that silence isn't about being quiet, it's about creating space to understand, reflect, and grow. Think about the last time you were in a conversation. Were you listening to respond, or were you truly present, absorbing what the other person was saying? The Stoics believed that practicing silence allows us to observe more deeply, to see beyond words and into the intentions and emotions of others. It's not just about withholding speech, it's about cultivating patience and restraint, qualities that can transform how we interact with the world. Here's a practical way to start. The next time someone shares their thoughts with you, pause. Take a breath before responding. Even a brief moment of silence can shift the dynamic, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Or try observing a conversation without jumping in. Notice the nuances, the tone, the body language, the unspoken emotions. You might be surprised by what you learn when you're not focused on what to say next. So, where in your day can you practice silence? Maybe it's during a meeting where instead of rushing to share your opinion, you listen fully to your colleagues. Or perhaps it's at home, giving someone the space to express themselves without interruption. Silence isn't just about absence, it's about presence. It's a habit that can help you connect more deeply with others and with yourself. Contentment comes from within, not from external things. This simple yet profound idea is at the heart of Stoic philosophy, and it's a habit that can truly transform how you see the world. The Stoics, like Seneca, believed that inner fulfillment isn't about accumulating possessions or chasing after the next big thing. Instead, it's about appreciating what you already have and finding peace in the present moment. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Think about that for a moment. True wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by your ability to feel satisfied with what's already in your life. So, how do we cultivate this kind of contentment? Start by shifting your focus. Instead of always looking for the next achievement or acquisition, take a step back and reflect on what you already have. Maybe it's your health, your relationships, or even the small joys of everyday life, like a warm cup of coffee in the morning or a quiet moment to yourself. These are the things that often go unnoticed, yet they hold so much value. The Stoics remind us that happiness isn't found in the future or in some distant goal. It's right here, right now, if we're willing to see it. Ask yourself this: what's one thing you already have that brings you contentment? It could be something as simple as a roof over your head or the love of a friend. By acknowledging these gifts, you begin to shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. And here's the beautiful part: this habit doesn't require you to change your circumstances. It simply asks you to change how you see them. Contentment isn't about having everything, it's about realizing that you already have enough. And when you truly embrace that, you'll find a sense of peace that no external success could ever provide. One of the most profound truths in life is this: resistance often leads to suffering. Think about it. How much energy do we waste fighting against things we can't control? The traffic jam that makes us late, the unexpected bill that throws off our budget, or even the criticism from someone whose opinion we value too much. These moments can feel like battles, but Stoicism offers a different path: the practice of acceptance. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs." This isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about recognizing that some things are simply beyond our control. When we stop resisting reality, we free ourselves from unnecessary frustration and open the door to peace. Let's break this down with a simple example. Imagine you're working on a project, and despite your best efforts, it doesn't turn out the way you hoped. Instead of spiraling into self-criticism or blaming external factors, what if you simply accepted it as it is, acknowledge the imperfections, learn from the experience, and move forward? This shift in mindset doesn't mean you're settling. It means you're choosing to focus your energy on what you can change rather than wasting it on what you can't. Or consider relationships. People aren't perfect, and neither are we. Accepting others as they are, flaws and all, can transform how we interact with them. It removes the pressure to control or change someone else, allowing us to connect more authentically. So here's a question to reflect on: what can you accept today to find peace? Maybe it's a situation at work, a personal habit you've been hard on yourself about, or even the weather that's ruining your plans. Acceptance isn't about resignation. It's about reclaiming your power by choosing how you respond. And when you do, you'll find that life becomes a little lighter, a little easier, and a lot more fulfilling. Think about the people who inspire you to be your best self. Who comes to mind? Stoicism teaches us to reflect on role models as a way to grow and improve. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, emphasized the importance of learning from others. He believed that by observing the qualities we admire in those we look up to, we can integrate those traits into our own lives. It's not about blindly copying someone else, but about identifying the virtues they embody and striving to cultivate them within ourselves. Consider historical figures like Marcus Aurelius or Seneca. Both were not only Stoic philosophers but also leaders who faced immense challenges. Marcus Aurelius, as a Roman emperor, had to balance power and responsibility while staying grounded in Stoic principles. Seneca, on the other hand, used his wisdom to navigate the complexities of politics and personal adversity. By studying their lives, we gain insight into how they practiced resilience, wisdom, and integrity, qualities that can guide us in our own journeys. But role models don't have to be historical or famous. They can be mentors, teachers, or even someone close to you, a parent, a friend, or a colleague. What matters is the impact they have on your mindset and actions. What qualities do you admire in your role models? Is it their patience, their courage, their ability to stay calm under pressure? Take a moment to reflect on that. By identifying these traits, you create a roadmap for your own growth, one step at a time. This practice isn't just about admiration, it's about action. Once you've pinpointed the qualities you respect, ask yourself how you can begin to embody them in your daily life. Maybe it's through small, consistent actions, like practicing patience during a difficult conversation or showing kindness when it's easier to be indifferent. Over time, these habits shape who you become, aligning you more closely with the person you aspire to be. Moderation is the path to balance. It's a timeless Stoic principle that reminds us to avoid the extremes of excess and deficiency, choosing instead the steady middle ground. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor." This isn't just about material possessions, it's about how we approach every aspect of life. Whether it's work, leisure, or even our emotions, moderation helps us maintain control and clarity, preventing us from being swept away by extremes. Think about your daily routine. Do you overwork yourself to the point of burnout, or do you procrastinate and avoid responsibilities altogether? Neither extreme serves you. The Stoic way is to find the sweet spot, putting in consistent effort without sacrificing your well-being. The same applies to indulging in pleasures. Enjoying a good meal or a relaxing evening is healthy, but overindulgence can lead to regret or imbalance. Moderation isn't about denying yourself, it's about savoring life's pleasures mindfully without letting them control you. Where can you practice moderation today? Maybe it's in how you spend your time, balancing productivity with rest. Or perhaps it's in how you manage your emotions, responding calmly instead of reacting impulsively. Moderation isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. By consistently choosing the middle path, you cultivate resilience and inner peace, qualities that align perfectly with the Stoic ideal of living a virtuous life. Have you ever noticed how curiosity has a way of keeping us young at heart? It's that spark that keeps us asking questions, seeking answers, and staying open to the endless possibilities of growth. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, understood this deeply. In his writings, he often emphasized the importance of lifelong learning, reminding us that no matter how much we think we know, there's always more to discover. He saw curiosity not as a frivolous trait, but as a vital tool for self-improvement and understanding the world around us. So, how can we cultivate this habit of curiosity in our own lives? Start small. Make it a daily practice to ask questions, not just about the world, but about yourself. Why do you react a certain way to a situation? What can you learn from someone who sees things differently? Curiosity thrives when we step outside our comfort zones and explore new ideas, whether through books, conversations, or experiences. It's about approaching life with a sense of wonder, as if every day holds a lesson waiting to be uncovered. Think about it. What's one thing you're curious about today? Maybe it's a skill you've always wanted to learn, a topic you've never fully understood, or even a person whose perspective intrigues you. By nurturing that curiosity, you're not just expanding your knowledge, you're also training your mind to stay flexible, adaptable, and open to growth. And isn't that what a Stoic mindset is all about? Embracing the unknown, not with fear, but with a sense of excitement for what it might teach us. How often do you take a moment to truly understand yourself? In the chaos of daily life, it's easy to get caught up in the external world, chasing goals, meeting deadlines, or managing relationships. But the Stoics believed that one of the most important habits you can cultivate is the practice of self-reflection. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that self-awareness is the foundation of growth. To live a life aligned with your values, you must first know what those values are. So, how can you begin this practice? One powerful way is through journaling. Imagine sitting down at the end of each day, free from distractions, and writing about your thoughts, actions, and emotions. What went well? What could you have handled differently? This isn't about self-criticism, it's about understanding. When you reflect, you create space to see patterns in your behavior, recognize what truly matters to you, and identify areas where you can improve. Another approach is meditation, particularly focused on self-awareness. Spend a few minutes in quiet contemplation, asking yourself questions like, "What am I grateful for today?" Or, "How did I respond to challenges?" These moments of introspection can reveal insights you might otherwise overlook. But self-reflection isn't just about looking backward, it's also about looking forward. As you reflect, ask yourself, what can I learn about myself through this process? Maybe you'll discover that you're more resilient than you thought, or perhaps you'll notice habits that no longer serve you. The goal is to use this knowledge to grow, to become a better version of yourself. The Stoics saw self-reflection as a way to align their actions with their principles, ensuring they lived with integrity and purpose. By making self-reflection a regular habit, you're not just observing your life, you're actively shaping it. And in doing so, you're taking a step closer to the Stoic ideal of living a life of wisdom, courage, and tranquility. Change is the only constant in life, a truth that Stoics understood deeply. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the inevitability of change and the importance of meeting it with acceptance, not resistance. He believed that our ability to adapt to new circumstances is a measure of our inner strength. Instead of clinging to what we cannot control, Stoicism teaches us to focus on how we respond. Whether it's a sudden career shift, a personal transformation, or even a change in your daily routine, the way you approach it defines your peace of mind. Think about it. Every time life takes an unexpected turn, you have a choice. You can either fight against the current, exhausting yourself in the process, or you can flow with it, finding opportunities in the new direction. For instance, imagine someone who loses a job they've held for years. While it's natural to feel fear or frustration, the Stoic approach would be to see this as a chance to grow, to explore new paths, or to redefine what success means for them. So, how can you welcome change in your own life today? Start small. Maybe it's letting go of a habit that no longer serves you, or embracing a new perspective on a challenge you've been avoiding. Reflect on the changes happening around you. What can you learn from them? How can they help you grow? Remember, change isn't something to fear. It's an opportunity to practice resilience, to become more adaptable, and to live more fully in the present moment. Kindness costs nothing but means everything. It's a simple truth, yet one that can profoundly shape how we interact with the world and the people around us. The Stoics, often thought of as austere or detached, actually placed great emphasis on kindness as a cornerstone of a virtuous life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." This idea reminds us that our well-being is deeply connected to the well-being of others. Kindness isn't just a moral obligation. It's a practice that enriches our own lives as much as it does the lives of those we touch. But what does Stoic kindness look like in practice? It's not about grand gestures or dramatic sacrifices. It's found in the small, everyday moments, holding the door open for someone, offering a genuine compliment, or simply listening when someone needs to be heard. These acts might seem insignificant, but they ripple outward, creating a sense of connection and shared humanity. The Stoics believed that every person is part of a larger whole, and by treating others with kindness, we strengthen that bond. Think about it. When was the last time someone's small act of kindness lifted your spirits? Maybe it was a stranger's smile on a tough day or a friend's thoughtful text when you least expected it. Now consider how powerful it would be if we all made a habit of spreading that same warmth. Who can you show kindness to today? It could be a coworker, a family member, or even yourself. Sometimes the simplest acts, like forgiving someone, offering patience, or choosing empathy over judgment, can have the deepest impact. Kindness, in the Stoic sense, is about recognizing our shared humanity and choosing to act with compassion even when it's not easy. So, as you go about your day, challenge yourself to practice this habit. Notice the opportunities to be kind, no matter how small they seem. Because in a world that often feels divided, kindness is the thread that can bring us closer together. And the beauty of it, it starts with you. Discipline is the foundation of freedom, a truth the Stoics understood deeply. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught that self-control is not about restriction but about liberation. When you cultivate discipline, you free yourself from the chaos of impulses and distractions, allowing you to align your actions with your values and goals. Think of it this way: without discipline, your mind becomes a ship tossed by every wave of desire or fear. But with discipline, you become the captain, steering confidently toward the life you want to create. This principle shows up in small, everyday choices. Maybe it's resisting the urge to hit snooze in the morning, sticking to a workout routine even when you don't feel like it, or saying no to distractions that pull you away from your priorities. Each act of discipline strengthens your willpower like a muscle that grows with consistent use. The Stoics believed that by mastering these small moments, you prepare yourself to handle life's bigger challenges with grace and resilience. So, what's one area where you can strengthen your discipline? Is it in managing your time more effectively, breaking a bad habit, or committing to a daily practice that aligns with your values? Start small, but start now. Remember, discipline isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every time you choose to act in alignment with your higher self, you build the kind of inner strength that leads to true freedom. How often do you truly pause to understand someone else's perspective? It's easy to get caught up in our own thoughts and emotions, but Stoicism teaches us that empathy is a cornerstone of a well-lived life. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "We are all limbs of the same body." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that we're all connected, and by understanding others, we not only strengthen our relationships but also cultivate inner peace. Practicing empathy isn't just about being kind, it's about seeing the humanity in everyone, even when it's challenging. Think about the last time you had a disagreement with someone. Instead of focusing on who was right or wrong, what if you tried to see the situation through their eyes? Active listening is one of the most powerful ways to do this. It means truly hearing what someone is saying, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being present, setting aside your own judgments, and allowing their perspective to exist without immediately trying to fix or dismiss it. Another way to practice empathy is to consider the emotions behind people's actions. Maybe someone snapped at you unexpectedly. Instead of reacting defensively, ask yourself, what might they be going through? Often, people's behavior is a reflection of their struggles, not a personal attack. By shifting your focus to their experience, you create space for understanding rather than conflict. So, how can you practice empathy today? Start small. The next time you're in a conversation, challenge yourself to listen more than you speak. Or when you feel frustrated with someone, take a moment to imagine their day, their worries, or their hopes. Empathy isn't about solving everyone's problems, it's about connecting with their humanity. And in doing so, you'll find that it not only transforms your relationships but also enriches your own mindset. After all, as the Stoics believed, we're all part of the same interconnected whole. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. This simple yet profound idea lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy and is something Marcus Aurelius often emphasized in his writings. He believed that life is a journey of continuous improvement, not a race to some unattainable ideal. The key is to focus on moving forward, no matter how small the steps may seem. It's not about being flawless, it's about being better today than you were yesterday. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is taking time to reflect on your progress. Marcus Aurelius himself kept a journal, a habit that allowed him to track his growth, acknowledge his struggles, and celebrate his victories, no matter how minor they appeared. This reflection isn't about dwelling on mistakes, but about recognizing how far you've come and identifying where you can improve. It's a way to stay grounded and intentional in your efforts. So, how can you incorporate this habit into your own life? Start by setting clear, achievable goals. Not just long-term aspirations, but small, daily objectives that keep you moving forward. At the end of each day or week, take a few moments to review what you've accomplished. Did you handle a difficult situation with more patience than usual? Did you make progress on a project you've been putting off? Even the smallest wins count. Celebrate them. Write them down. This practice helps you build momentum and reinforces the idea that growth is happening, even if it's not always visible. But reflection isn't just about tracking successes, it's also about learning from setbacks. The Stoics understood that failure is part of the process. When things don't go as planned, instead of dwelling on frustration, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I approach this differently next time? This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Now, take a moment to think about your own journey. What progress have you made recently? Maybe you've become more disciplined in your habits, or perhaps you've managed to stay calm in a situation that would have previously upset you. Whatever it is, no matter how small, acknowledge it. Progress is progress, and every step forward is worth celebrating. By reflecting on your growth, you'll not only stay motivated, but also cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude and purpose in your life. How often do you catch yourself judging others, or even worse, judging yourself? It's something we all do, often without even realizing it. But here's the thing, every time we pass judgment, we're adding unnecessary weight to our minds. Stoicism offers a powerful alternative, the practice of non-judgment. Epictetus once said, "What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about things." In other words, it's not the events or people around us that cause stress or frustration, it's our opinions about them. Think about it. When someone cuts you off in traffic, do you feel angry because of their actions or because of the story you've told yourself about them? They're rude, they don't care, or they're selfish. Those are judgments, not facts. The Stoics remind us to focus on what's within our control, our own actions and reactions, not the actions of others. By practicing non-judgment, we free ourselves from the emotional roller coaster of assumptions and criticism. Here's a practical example. Imagine a coworker who always seems to interrupt you during meetings. Instead of labeling them as inconsiderate, try shifting your perspective. Maybe they're unaware of how they come across, or perhaps they're just passionate about the topic. By letting go of judgment, you not only reduce your own frustration, but also open the door to understanding and compassion. So, where can you practice non-judgment today? Is it with a family member who pushes your buttons, or maybe even with yourself when you feel like you've fallen short? Start small. Notice when judgment arises, pause and ask yourself, is this thought helping me or holding me back? Remember, the goal isn't to ignore reality, but to see it clearly without the filter of unnecessary opinions. Over time, this habit can transform not just your mindset, but the way you interact with the world around you. The present moment is all we truly have. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of what's next or what's behind us, but the Stoics remind us that the now is where life unfolds. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the importance of living fully in the present. He observed that we waste so much of our lives worrying about the future or regretting the past, only to realize too late that the moments we overlooked were the ones that mattered most. Presence, then, isn't just a habit, it's a way of reclaiming your life. So, how do we cultivate this sense of presence in a world that's constantly pulling us in a million directions? It starts with small, intentional practices. Mindful breathing, for example, is a simple yet powerful tool. Take a deep breath in, feel the air fill your lungs, and exhale slowly. This act alone can ground you, bringing your focus back to the here and now. Another practice is savoring moments, whether it's the taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, or the sound of laughter. These are the tiny miracles that often go unnoticed, but they're the building blocks of a meaningful life. The Stoics believed that being present wasn't just about awareness, it was about appreciation. When we fully engage with the moment, we're not just observing it, we're honoring it. Think about it. When was the last time you truly paused to experience something without distraction? It's in these pauses that we find clarity, connection, and even joy. So ask yourself, how can you be more present today? Maybe it's putting your phone down during a conversation, or taking a few minutes to sit quietly and just be. Whatever it is, remember that the present is a gift, one that's always within your reach. Habit 37 is all about practicing integrity, and here's the core of it. Integrity means doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. It's that quiet, unwavering commitment to your values, no matter the circumstances. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be." Be one. This is the essence of Stoic integrity. It's not about debating morality or seeking approval. It's about embodying your principles in every action, even when no one's there to see it. Think about it. Integrity shows up in the small, everyday choices. It's keeping a promise you made to a friend, even when it's inconvenient. It's being honest, even when a little white lie might make things easier. These moments, though often unnoticed, are where your character is truly built. The Stoics believed that integrity isn't just a virtue, it's a way of life. It's about aligning your actions with your inner values so that no matter what happens externally, you remain steadfast in who you are. So, here's a question to reflect on. Where can you practice integrity today? Maybe it's in a conversation where you're tempted to bend the truth, or a commitment you've been putting off. Integrity isn't about grand gestures. It's about the quiet, consistent choices that define who you are when no one's looking. Start small, but start today, because every act of integrity, no matter how small, strengthens your character and brings you closer to the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with your highest self. What kind of mark do you want to leave on the world? This is the question at the heart of Habit 38, reflecting on your legacy. The Stoics believed that life isn't just about the present moment, it's also about how your actions ripple into the future. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, often spoke about the importance of living a life aligned with your deepest values. He taught that true fulfillment comes not from chasing fleeting pleasures, but from building something enduring, something that outlasts you. Think about it. Every choice you make, every action you take is a brushstroke on the canvas of your legacy. Are you painting something you'll be proud of? For example, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, didn't just rule an empire. He left behind a legacy of wisdom through his writings, which still inspire millions today. His life wasn't perfect, but he strived to live with integrity, and that's what made his legacy timeless. So, how can you start building yours? It begins with aligning your daily actions with your values. If kindness is important to you, make choices that reflect it. If creativity drives you, dedicate time to nurturing it. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistency. Even small, intentional acts like mentoring someone, creating something meaningful, or simply living authentically can leave a lasting impact. And here's something to ponder. How do you want to be remembered? Not just by those closest to you, but by the world at large. What kind of influence do you want to have? The Stoics remind us that legacy isn't something you start thinking about at the end. It's something you build every single day. So ask yourself, how can you live today in a way that shapes the legacy you want to leave behind? One of the most profound shifts you can make in your mindset is learning to see challenges not as obstacles but as opportunities. Think about it. When was the last time you faced a difficult situation and came out stronger on the other side? Challenges often lead to growth, even if it doesn't feel that way in the moment. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Imagine that every challenge you face is like a workout for your resilience, your patience, and your wisdom. This habit, practicing gratitude for challenges, isn't about pretending everything is perfect when it's not. It's about reframing how you see adversity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you start asking, "What can I learn from this?" or "How can this make me better?" Take failure, for example. No one likes to fail, but every failure is a lesson in disguise. Maybe you missed a goal at work, but in the process, you discovered a new approach or realized where you need to improve. That's growth. Or consider a setback in a relationship. It might have been painful in the moment, but it taught you something about communication, boundaries, or self-respect. The key here is to actively look for the silver lining, even when it's hard to see. It doesn't mean you have to be happy about the struggle. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about choosing how you respond. When you start practicing gratitude for challenges, you're not just surviving them, you're thriving through them. It's like turning the volume down on the noise of frustration and turning up the clarity of purpose. So, here's a question to think about. What challenge can you be grateful for today? Maybe it's something small, like a tough workout that pushed your limits, or something bigger, like a career setback that's forcing you to rethink your path. Whatever it is, take a moment to reflect on what it's teaching you, because when you start seeing challenges as opportunities, you're not just surviving life, you're mastering it. Adaptability is the key to resilience. Think about it. Life is unpredictable, and the more rigid we are in our expectations, the harder it becomes to navigate its twists and turns. This is where Stoicism offers profound wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, often wrote about the inevitability of change. He reminded himself and us that resisting change is like fighting the tide. It's futile and exhausting. Instead, he encouraged embracing change as a natural part of existence, something to be met with curiosity and courage rather than fear. So, what does adaptability look like in practice? It's about shifting your mindset from, "This isn't how things should be," to, "This is how things are, and I'll find a way to work with it." Imagine losing a job unexpectedly. A rigid mindset might spiral into frustration and despair, but an adaptable mindset sees opportunity, a chance to learn new skills, explore different career paths, or even start a business. Adaptability isn't about giving up on your goals, it's about finding new ways to pursue them when circumstances shift. Let's bring this closer to home. Maybe you've faced a sudden change in your personal life, a move to a new city, a shift in a relationship, or even a global event that disrupted your routine. These moments test our ability to adapt. The Stoics would say that these are the moments that define us. They're not obstacles to happiness, they're opportunities to practice resilience, to grow stronger, and to discover new strengths within ourselves. Here's a practical way to start cultivating adaptability. Reflect on a recent challenge you faced. Did you resist it, or did you find a way to adapt? If you resisted, what could you have done differently? And if you adapted, what did you learn from the experience? The more you practice this kind of reflection, the more you'll train your mind to see change as a partner rather than an adversary. So, how can you become more adaptable today? Start small. Maybe it's trying a new approach to a problem at work, or saying yes to an opportunity that feels slightly outside your comfort zone. Remember, adaptability isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Each time you choose to adapt, you're building the mental flexibility that will serve you in every area of life. How often do you pause to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you so freely give to others? It's easy to be harsh on ourselves, to hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, but Stoicism teaches us that self-compassion is not a weakness, it's a strength. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." At its core, this is a call to embrace our imperfections and treat ourselves with patience as we grow. Self-compassion in Stoicism isn't about indulgence or letting yourself off the hook. It's about recognizing that you're human and, like everyone else, you're going to make mistakes. It's about forgiving yourself when you stumble, just as you'd forgive a friend who's trying their best. Think about the last time you made a mistake. Did you berate yourself, or did you take a moment to reflect, learn, and move forward? The Stoic approach encourages the latter. For example, imagine you've set a goal to wake up early every day, but one morning you hit snooze one too many times. Instead of spiraling into guilt, you could acknowledge that you're tired, remind yourself that rest is also important, and recommit to your goal the next day. Or perhaps you've been so focused on helping others that you've neglected your own needs. Stoicism reminds us that self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup, as the saying goes. So how can you practice self-compassion today? Start small. When you notice negative self-talk creeping in, pause and ask yourself, would I say this to someone I care about? If the answer is no, reframe that thought. Treat yourself with the same gentleness you'd offer a loved one. And remember, self-compassion isn't a one-time act. It's a habit, a way of being that grows stronger with practice. By weaving self-compassion into your daily life, you're not just being kind to yourself, you're building resilience. You're creating a mindset that allows you to face challenges with grace, knowing that you're worthy of your own care and understanding. And isn't that a foundation worth cultivating? We are all part of a greater whole, a simple truth, yet one that carries profound weight when we pause to reflect on it. Stoicism teaches us to see ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as threads woven into the vast tapestry of life. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often spoke of this interconnectedness, reminding us that every action we take ripples outward, affecting the world in ways both seen and unseen. He encouraged us to step back and recognize that our existence is deeply tied to the people, the environment, and even the cosmos around us. This practice of reflecting on interconnectedness isn't just philosophical, it's deeply practical. When we take a moment to observe the world around us, we begin to notice how much we rely on others and how much they rely on us. Think about the food you eat, the clothes you wear, or even the device you're using to watch this video. None of these things exist in isolation. They're the result of countless hands, minds, and efforts working together. Even nature itself operates in harmony, the trees providing oxygen, the bees pollinating flowers, the rain nourishing the soil. Everything is connected, so how can we bring this awareness into our daily lives? One way is through simple observation. Take a walk in your neighborhood or a nearby park. Notice the people around you, each with their own stories, struggles, and joys. Observe the trees, the birds, the way the sunlight filters through the leaves. These small acts of mindfulness can help you feel more grounded and connected to the world. Another practice is to express gratitude, whether it's thanking a coworker for their help or appreciating the warmth of the sun on your face. Gratitude reminds us of our interdependence. Stoicism doesn't just ask us to reflect on interconnectedness, it invites us to act on it. How can you contribute to the greater whole today? Maybe it's through a kind word, a small act of service, or simply being present for someone in need. The beauty of this habit is that it doesn't require grand gestures. Even the smallest actions can create a ripple effect, reminding us that we're not alone in this world. So take a moment to ask yourself, how can you feel more connected today? How can you strengthen the threads that bind us all together? Holding on to things, whether it's past mistakes, grudges, or unrealistic expectations, often weighs us down more than we realize. The Stoics understood this deeply, teaching that much of our suffering comes from clinging to what we can't control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This is the essence of letting go, recognizing that our power lies in how we respond, not in trying to force outcomes or hold onto what's already beyond our reach. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or being indifferent. Instead, it's about freeing ourselves from the emotional chains that keep us stuck. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents something you're holding on to, a grudge, a missed opportunity, or even the desire for things to be different. The longer you carry it, the heavier it feels. Stoicism invites us to set that burden down, not because the rocks disappear, but because we choose not to let them define us. Think about a grudge you've held onto. Maybe someone wronged you, and you've been replaying that moment in your mind for weeks, months, or even years. What if, instead of letting that memory take up space in your thoughts, you chose to release it? Not because what happened was okay, but because holding onto it only hurts you. Or consider expectations, those rigid ideas about how life should go. When reality doesn't match up, we often feel frustrated or disappointed. But what if we loosened our grip on those expectations and embraced what is rather than what could have been? So, take a moment to reflect. What's one thing you can let go of today to create more peace in your life? It might be a small habit like worrying about what others think, or something bigger like releasing a long-held resentment. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to focus on what truly matters, your own growth, your peace of mind, and the present moment. As the Stoics remind us, the only thing we truly control is ourselves, and sometimes the most powerful act is simply to release what no longer serves us. Optimism is a choice, not a circumstance. This idea, central to Stoic philosophy, reminds us that our perspective is ours to shape, regardless of external events. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, emphasized that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. This is where optimism comes into play, not as blind positivity, but as a deliberate practice of focusing on what we can influence and finding value in every situation. Think about it, life will always throw challenges your way, but what if you could see those challenges as opportunities for growth? Stoics believed that every obstacle carries a hidden lesson, a chance to strengthen your character or refine your mindset. For example, instead of viewing a setback at work as a failure, you could reframe it as a chance to learn, adapt, and come back stronger. This shift in perspective doesn't deny the difficulty of the moment, it simply chooses to see the potential for progress within it. Gratitude is another powerful tool for cultivating optimism. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, often wrote about the importance of appreciating what you have, even in the midst of hardship. By focusing on what's going right, no matter how small, you train your mind to notice the good rather than fixate on the bad. Maybe it's the warmth of the sun on your face, the support of a friend, or the simple fact that you have the ability to try again tomorrow. These moments of gratitude can serve as anchors, grounding you in optimism even when life feels uncertain. So, how can you choose optimism today? Start by asking yourself, what's one thing I can focus on that's within my control? It might be as simple as deciding to approach a difficult conversation with curiosity instead of fear, or taking a moment to list 3 things you're grateful for before bed. Remember, optimism isn't about ignoring reality. It's about shaping your reality through the lens of possibility and growth. And when you make that choice, you're not just reacting to life, you're actively creating it. How often do you find yourself scrolling endlessly through social media, snacking without thought, or binge-watching shows you barely remember? These moments of mindless consumption are all too common in our fast-paced world. But the Stoics offer a powerful antidote, the practice of mindful consumption. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that true abundance comes not from accumulating more, but from being intentional about what we allow into our lives. Mindful consumption isn't about deprivation, it's about awareness. It's asking yourself, does this serve me, before you eat, watch, or buy? For example, instead of filling your plate out of habit, consider whether the food will truly nourish your body and mind. Instead of defaulting to hours of entertainment, ask if that time could be better spent on something meaningful like reading, creating, or connecting with loved ones. Even the media you consume, news, podcasts, social media, should be chosen with care. Are you absorbing content that uplifts and informs, or are you simply numbing yourself with noise? This habit invites you to pause and reflect. What are you consuming and why? Is it aligning with your values, or is it just a reflex? By practicing mindful consumption, you take back control over your attention, energy, and time. So today, ask yourself, what can you consume more mindfully? Start small. Maybe it's 1 less hour of mindless scrolling or choosing a healthier snack. Over time, these small, intentional choices can transform not just your habits, but your entire mindset. There's a profound power in facing what most of us try to avoid, our own mortality. It might sound unsettling at first, but Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius believed that reflecting on the impermanence of life is one of the most transformative habits we can cultivate. In his meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This isn't meant to be morbid. It's a call to live with intention, to recognize that every moment is fleeting and therefore precious. Daily reflection on mortality, or Memento Mori as the Stoics called it, isn't about dwelling on fear or sadness. Instead, it's a tool to sharpen your focus, to remind yourself of what truly matters. When you take a few moments each day to consider the brevity of life, it becomes harder to waste time on trivial distractions or petty conflicts. Suddenly, the urgency to act, to love, and to grow becomes undeniable. So, how can you incorporate this practice into your daily routine? One way is through journaling. At the end of each day, write down what you accomplished, what you're grateful for, and what you might do differently if today were your last. This simple act can help you align your actions with your values. Another approach is to meditate on life's impermanence. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and reflect on the idea that today is a gift, one that won't last forever. The question to ask yourself is this: how would your priorities shift if you truly internalize the idea that your time is limited? Would you spend more energy on meaningful relationships? Would you take that leap toward a dream you've been putting off? By reflecting on mortality, you're not just confronting an inevitable truth, you're unlocking the courage to live boldly, authentically, and without regret. Attachment is something we all experience, but rarely do we consider how much it shapes our daily lives. Think about it. When we cling too tightly to outcomes, possessions, or even the opinions of others, we set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, and even suffering. The Stoics understood this deeply, and their practice of non-attachment offers a powerful way to reclaim our peace of mind. Epictetus once said, "Some things are within our control and some things are not." This simple yet profound idea is at the heart of non-attachment. It's not about rejecting or avoiding what we care about. It's about recognizing that we can't control everything, and that's okay. When we let go of the need to control outcomes, we free ourselves from the emotional roller coaster that comes with attachment. Take material possessions, for example. How many of us have felt a pang of anxiety when something we own gets damaged or lost? Or consider how much energy we spend worrying about what others think of us. These attachments can weigh us down, creating unnecessary stress and limiting our ability to live fully. The Stoics would remind us that these things are external, they're not truly ours to hold onto. By practicing non-attachment, we can appreciate what we have without letting it define our happiness. So, what does this look like in practice? Start small. Maybe it's letting go of the need to have the perfect day at work, or releasing the expectation that a friend will respond to your message immediately. Or perhaps it's about decluttering your space and realizing that the things you own don't own you. Each act of letting go is a step toward greater freedom and inner calm. Here's a question to reflect on. What's one thing you're holding onto too tightly right now? It could be a goal, a relationship, or even a belief about how things should be. What would it feel like to loosen your grip, even just a little? Non-attachment isn't about giving up, it's about finding peace in the process, no matter the outcome. Equanimity is the art of staying balanced, no matter what life throws your way. It's not about avoiding challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding calm within the chaos. The Stoics, especially Seneca, placed immense value on this state of mind. He wrote that true strength lies in remaining undisturbed by external events, whether they're triumphs or trials. Picture this: life is like a stormy sea, and equanimity is the anchor that keeps your boat steady, no matter how high the waves rise. So how do we cultivate this kind of balance? Start by paying attention to your emotions without letting them take the wheel. When frustration or anxiety surfaces, take a moment to breathe deeply. Inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, and exhale for 4. This simple practice can ground you, creating a small but powerful space between your emotions and your response. Another Stoic technique is to observe your feelings as if you're an outsider looking in. Ask yourself, why does this bother me? Is it within my control? By stepping back, you gain clarity and reduce the intensity of your reactions. Think about your day-to-day life. What situations tend to knock you off balance? Maybe it's a difficult conversation at work, a sudden change in plans, or even the constant buzz of notifications on your phone. How can you bring equanimity into those moments? Perhaps it's by reminding yourself that you can't control everything, but you can control how you respond. Or maybe it's by finding a quiet moment to reset, even if it's just for a few seconds. Equanimity isn't about becoming emotionless, it's about mastering your emotions so they don't master you. It's a skill that grows stronger with practice, like building a muscle. And the more you cultivate it, the more you'll find yourself navigating life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. So, take a moment today to reflect. How can you nurture equanimity in your own life? What small step can you take to stay balanced even when the world feels unpredictable? Every action you take should align with your purpose. This is the essence of Habit 49, practicing purposeful action. The Stoics believed that living intentionally is the key to a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You must be like a rocky promontory against which the restless surf continually pounds. It stands fast while the waters around it seethe and subside." What he's telling us here is to remain steadfast in our purpose, no matter the chaos around us. Every decision, every task, every moment should be a reflection of what truly matters to you. So, what does purposeful action look like in practice? It starts with setting clear goals that align with your values. For example, if one of your core values is growth, you might dedicate time each day to learning something new or improving a skill. Or if community is important to you, you might prioritize actions that strengthen your relationships or contribute to your local area. The key is to ensure that your daily tasks aren't just random motions, but steps that move you closer to your larger vision. Let's break it down further. Imagine you're at work and you have a list of tasks to complete. Instead of diving in without thought, take a moment to ask yourself, why am I doing this? How does this align with my goals or values? Even small actions, like how you respond to a coworker's question or the energy you bring to a project, can be infused with purpose. This mindset transforms mundane activities into meaningful contributions. Now, think about your own life. What's one purposeful action you can take today? It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing. Maybe it's as simple as sending a thoughtful message to someone you care about, dedicating 20 minutes to a passion project, or making a decision that aligns with your long-term goals. Purposeful action is about intention, choosing to live in a way that reflects who you are and what you stand for. When you approach life this way, even the smallest actions carry weight. They become part of a larger narrative, a story of growth, contribution, and alignment. And that's how you build a life of meaning, one purposeful step at a time. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, how does my life fit into the grand scheme of things? It's a question that might feel overwhelming at first, but it's also one of the most profound habits you can cultivate as part of a Stoic mindset. This is about zooming out, way out, and seeing your life not just as a series of individual moments, but as part of something much larger. The Stoics, like Epictetus, were masters of perspective. They believed that by reflecting on the bigger picture, we could find clarity, purpose, and even peace in the face of life's challenges. Consider this: the universe is unimaginably vast. Billions of stars, galaxies stretching beyond comprehension, and yet here we are, tiny specks in the grand cosmic dance. When you take a moment to reflect on that scale, it's hard not to feel a sense of humility. But it's not about making yourself feel small, it's about realizing that your struggles, your triumphs, and even your daily routines are part of a much larger tapestry. This perspective can help you let go of trivial worries and focus on what truly matters. Now, think about humanity's interconnectedness. Every action you take, no matter how small, ripples out and affects others in ways you may never fully understand. The Stoics believed that recognizing this interconnectedness could guide us toward more thoughtful, compassionate decisions. For example, when you're faced with a difficult choice, ask yourself, how does this fit into the bigger picture? How will this impact not just me, but the people around me and even future generations? So, how can reflecting on the bigger picture guide your actions today? Maybe it's about choosing kindness over anger, even when it's hard. Maybe it's about focusing on long-term goals rather than getting caught up in short-term frustrations. Or maybe it's simply taking a moment to appreciate the beauty and complexity of the world around you. When you step back and see your life as part of something greater, it becomes easier to navigate challenges with grace and gratitude. And that's the power of this final Stoic habit. It's a reminder that while you may not control the world around you, you can control how you choose to see it. As we wrap up this journey through the 50 Stoic habits, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on just how transformative these practices can be. Each habit, whether it's focusing on what's within your control, practicing gratitude, or embracing discomfort as a teacher, is designed to help you cultivate a resilient, focused, and peaceful mindset. These aren't just abstract ideas, they're tools for living a more intentional and fulfilling life. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, the habits you cultivate shape who you are, and by adopting even a few of these Stoic principles, you're not just changing your actions, you're transforming your very way of being. But here's the key: you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Start small. Choose 1 or 2 habits that resonate with you and commit to practicing them consistently. Maybe it's beginning each day with a moment of reflection or ending it by journaling about what you've learned. Perhaps it's reminding yourself to focus only on what you can control when challenges arise. The beauty of Stoicism is that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Even small, consistent steps can lead to profound changes over time. So, let me ask you this: which Stoic habit speaks to you most? Is it the idea of accepting what you can't change, or maybe the practice of finding stillness in the midst of chaos? Whatever it is, think about how you can bring it into your life today. Maybe it's as simple as pausing before reacting to a frustrating situation or taking a deep breath when you feel overwhelmed. If you found value in these ideas, why not take the next step? Hit that subscribe button for more insights on living a Stoic life, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's build a community of people committed to growth, resilience, and inner peace. After all, as Marcus Aurelius reminds us, what stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge, every habit, every moment is an opportunity to grow. So, what will you choose to work on today?